DJ Erica.
You're rocking with me, the one and only DJ Erica. DJ Erica podcast, and today we have a special guest in the building. Her name is Debbie Eagle. She is the owner of an indie record label, okay? She also has experience as a manager and an attorney, and she has a brand new book out called For the Record. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's some exciting times now with COVID and everybody being locked down. You know what I mean? Have to find new ways to educate and entertain people in these COVID-19 days.
Yeah, it's definitely been crazy. The beginning of the year has been crazy. How have you been functioning through this whole situation?
Well, I think, I'm in New York, so we were hit first, and it was pretty dramatic. I mean, the ambulance was passing my house every 30 minutes, no joke. I know a lot of people who came down with COVID, and unfortunately, I know a number of people who passed away. So I'm grateful that our numbers are very low today and that we're doing okay. I think it gave everybody time to pause and reflect on their lives and what they were doing and who they were doing it with and how they were getting there. So I feel like I was blessed. I took time. I have this instruction manual called For the Record. It's for indie artists. It is definitely a tutorial on where do you start and where do you end and what do you do in between, getting music out, and how to save time and make money, really is what it comes down to, because people waste a lot of time out here and mess with the wrong people and get the wrong results. And then you got to start over, and that's a problem. And then I was able to build an online course, which actually I've done a couple of times, but I'm doing it again in September. So anybody who might be interested in that, it's just go to my website, emusicentertainment.net. You'll see some online courses. You'll be able to go in. You'll be able to get the book, the audio book, or sign up for the course. Course is like a 5 to 6 week deep dive into the how to do it. So the book is the what and the why, and then the course is how do you actually accomplish all that. And I think that it never ceases to amaze me how difficult people make this music industry, because it's really not that difficult if you know what the code is, right? Because you just got to break the code and then follow that roadmap, and you can get there directly if you have talent, if you have a good team. But people take a lot of detours because, I don't know, artists really like to live in their creative brain. They don't really take the time to learn the business. And unfortunately, music is still a business. It's like if you wanted to open a store on the corner and you wanted to sell clothes, let's say, you have to figure out what kind of clothes you're going to sell to, what age you're catering to. You got to figure out what style you want. And then you got to figure out how to market that and get the word out. And then you got to figure out how to make a profit. How much are you spending? How much are you taking in? What about the rent? What about the electric? How are you going to let people know that you're there? Like, all those things go into putting a business together. And music is no different. You have to have a business plan to put your music out. Otherwise, it's kind of sort of more like a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with having a hobby, but then that's what it is. It's a hobby. It's not a business. And if you want to make music and earn a living from it, then you got to treat it like a business. And I think that people can find the information out there if they're really, really looking, but I think I did a nice job of putting it all together so they can find it all in one place. How's that for an idea?
That is a fantastic idea, and I love the fact that you are taking the time to give out that information to artists, because it's very rare in the industry for someone to sit down and write it. And the best thing is the author, you're not only a label owner, but you're an attorney, and you also have managing experience as well, and you manage High Five. As most of you guys know who that group is from the 90s. They have the single Kissing Game and everything else. So I just think it's fantastic that you would take this time to do so. So my biggest question is, what is, over the past like few decades that you've been in the industry, what is the biggest mistake that you've seen that is commonly made with artists when it comes to music business?
Oh, that's so simple. Because I'm telling you, I'm adding another chapter to the book, because every year I'm going to update the book, and I already know what this is going to be about. It's going to be about indie artists signing contracts with people because they think these people are going to help them, because maybe they feel like they don't have enough business knowledge, or maybe they feel like they don't have enough money, and these people they sign to probably have less ability than them, or they're taking advantage of them. So I think just this week alone, I reviewed 2 contracts for 2 different people in 2 different parts of the United States. And they signed contracts with people who didn't even have companies. They barely had a Facebook page.
Wow.
And they were signed for some time, and they did nothing for them. As a matter of fact, a little bit they did probably made them look worse. So I think my advice is, the 2 things that I think are the most important is, first and foremost, it begins and ends with great music. And I'm going to say this, and some people out there may get offended, but, I only know how to keep it real, is that if you pay $50 for a beat, then guess what? That's what you're getting, a $50 beat. If you want good music, you have to invest in somebody who learned their craft, right? You don't want to go to a dentist that learned how to do dentistry in his backyard. You want to go to a dentist who learned how to do dentistry in dentistry school, and then actually probably practice somewhere under guidance and learned. And then you're not going to let them work on your teeth unless they know what they're doing, right? So why would you pay $50 for a beat from someone, throw some stuff on top of it, don't mix it, don't master it, and think you can get a number 1 hit? And why anybody should take you seriously. Fact are, if you want to make this a career, you got to get a producer. You got to mix it. You got to master it. Because everything else is, again, going back to, it's okay, then maybe it's a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with a hobby, but don't think it's more than that. Because you as an artist got to invest in yourself. And when somebody wants to sign you, you got to look them up. Who are they? I don't care what they say to you. Who are they? What do they look like on paper? What do they look like on the internet? What have they said to you? Because, the sociopath who lures you into the house and chops you up is probably has a very good line, because you see it all the time on these CSI shows, right? You're sitting there going, don't go in the house, don't go in the house, right? And that's not to say people can't do that in the street too. They can con you, or maybe they think they can help you, but they got nothing to say they can help you, and that's cool. I'm all down with creating a team, but to make somebody sign a contract for years when you can't do anything for them, you're not helping them, and you're not even helping yourself. I don't even know what you're doing. So I think that people have to invest in the music and stay away from signing contracts, because if you don't know how to get what you need, try doing some research. Try looking it up on the internet. Try reading a book. Actually, I even did an audio book of this, so if you don't want to read, you could actually listen to the audio book. But the reality is that you have to invest in yourself, so that if you take yourself seriously, other people will take you seriously, and they'll treat you differently.
I agree with that. And when you're talking about, of course, managing contracts and things of that nature, the thing I have noticed is that a lot of artists just jump the gate and says, they're not known, they're just starting up. You haven't really heard any record from them, and they're just starting up saying, oh, I want a manager. But I always said it, and I feel like you should always have something to manage before you just jump the gate and just scream, I need a manager, because you want to, have a product to present, and you also just want to sit back and understand the business before you try to get in business with other people.
I don't disagree. I mean, if you are running around town with your homeboy and he's helping you, he probably is to some degree managing you. And if you trust him, then maybe you buy a book on management and give it to him, because the reality is when you're starting out, there's nothing to manage. You're not making no money. So you're asking somebody to give up their time, their energy, their resources to run around with you and manage what? If there's nothing, if there's no money in it, you're actually, you actually should be indebted to the person who's helping you. And I don't think that a lot of people think that way. I think they think the manager should do everything. The manager should pay for this. The manager should pay for that. No, actually, the manager should be setting up connections and bookings and helping you to get a better career, but they got to be making money to do that. If they really believe in you and they're trying to help you, then at least respect them for that. And when you get up, make sure you take them with you. But that's not what the manager's job is. The manager is supposed to be taking a percentage of what you make. So I think people have the wrong idea about a manager. They think the manager should put in their money. No, I don't think that's actually like, you're not getting somebody like a Scott Borchetta thrown around town with you and expect not to get paid. So, professional managers want to be paid. And if you have a friend that's doing all this for you and actually helping you, then you actually owe them. So you should appreciate what they're doing for you.
Now, from more of your perspective, so of course you talk about like the managing aspects and things of that nature, and then you also mentioned things about producers and beat makers. Can you tell artists exactly the difference between a producer and a beat maker? Because I feel like most of them don't understand the actual difference of them saying, I actually have a producer, I actually have a sound engineer, I actually have this, and this, versus them having a beat maker.
I mean, there's multiple different jobs in making music, right? So somebody who makes a beat does exactly that. They go on the beat machine, they make the beat, or they go on the computer and they make a beat, or they make the music that you're going to rap over or sing over. I'm not saying that there's something bad with that, but a producer usually is somebody who actually is trained, who actually creates a song from scratch. They can make it on the organ. They can make it on the guitar. They can program it into the computer. They can add the bells. Some producers know how to mix. Some producers even know how to master. But more importantly, a producer is somebody who gets an artist in the studio, listens to what they're capable of, and works in conjunction with that person to create their sound. Not a sound, but that person's sound. And that takes somebody who is skilled and who's been in the game for a long time and understands about what's relevant and how can they stretch an artist and where is their niche. Now, there's some people make music and people buy it and they get on top of it. That's okay, but that's not working in a professional capacity with a producer to find your own specific sound. And I would say if you find somebody like that, one song is not enough. You got to do a couple of songs with that person because you start to catch into a groove and you understand each other better. And so the songs should ultimately be getting better because they understand your voice. They understand what you can do, what you can't do. They understand what you like. They understand how to stretch you. And I think you can't really do that in one song. And in order to create a sound, you probably have to do a couple of songs with a producer. And that may be what sets you apart from everybody else.
And my other question, and I think that a lot of artists would benefit from this, is a budget, right? So some of them, they might not be prepared for managers just yet. They might just be starting up. They might, they want to get quality sound. Now, what would you say the average budget for an artist would be if they're trying to, take their career seriously and get some professionals involved?
I think that it really depends. And I would say, look, you can get a producer who's very good and they can potentially make a song for you for $1,000. It could be $5,000. But I think the producer, one of the key components here is the producer has to believe in you, because some producers may not go whole hog if they don't think you have a team, if they don't think that you can push the song once it's done. Like, if you can find a producer who's good and believes in you and wants to go the distance with you, then that's a gem and an asset you should never give up. Because, you know, if you, let's say you go to a Max Martin or a Scott Storch or a Rock Wilder or one of these guys who's got multiple Grammys, they probably have some songs that are kind of like B or C songs. So you may get a B or C song because you're not Janet Jackson or Katy Perry. And as long as you know that and understand that, it's all cool. But, you know, you have to really, like everything else, earn your way in this business. And maybe if you get in the studio with somebody who's good and you can help them and you hang out with them and you learn from them and you show up on time and you put the energy in and you show that you got the fire in the belly, then they probably are more inclined to grow with you and, you know, give you better and better material because they see that you're growing and learning and open to listening and hearing.
And those are some really, really good points. So I'm going to take a little further, right? Okay, so say an artist, they happen to surpass that point, right? They got a good production, everything is in order, they sound good, you know, they have the talent and they got the experience. But now we're at the point where it comes to marketing. So I want to know, how important is it to market your song? And you know, what lengths should an artist take to really, like, break a record? Well, how long would you say it would take for an indie artist, like, by themselves, like, haven't got a manager yet, they're trying to, like, get something with an active fan base? How much would you say they would need to invest in, like, a year or so? Like, how much time would you say they have to invest to promote a record or a project?
All right. I would say if you are, what Erica just said, like, you got a good sound, you got a solid production team, I would say that you should be able to get to the next level in 9 months to a year. And I think that you have to consistently put out music. I think there is a way to put out music that you are not breaking the bank, and it has to be good music and it has to be consistent. And there's some strategies that work out there. I think that the one powerful lesson I learned myself is, if you're putting money behind a song, of course the song is moving because you're putting money behind it. But in what way is it moving? Is it because, you know, you're out there doing YouTube videos and promoting it on YouTube? Is it because you're out there on the club scene? Is it because you're getting on all these playlists? Is it because you're getting on some radio? Because all those things cost. But then if you stop spending the money, what does the song do? Because the reality is there's 40,000 songs a day uploaded in Spotify. So, of course, you have to be out there and put the song in front of people to be heard. It doesn't get there by magic. So you have to spend some money. But what people don't pay attention to is the metrics. Are people sharing the song? Are people saving the song? Are people commenting? Is the artist engaging with the people? Because if you start spending money and the song is moving, and the minute you stop spending money, the song stops, well, that tells you a whole lot of stuff. I just recently reviewed some artist that was, you know, the artist had a beautiful voice. And I went to their Spotify, and they had 50-something thousand streams on their Spotify account. Dope, right? Zero followers.
Yeah.
No, but 0 followers. So what does that mean? Does that mean they paid somebody and they got bots? Does that mean they were on playlists but nobody liked them enough to follow them? Like, artists have to pay attention to the metrics, the things surrounding what's going on with the song, because it will really tell you the story of how the song itself is working with fans. Because if you don't have a fan base, then you can't make it in this business. So you have to, it's not bad to try out different styles of songs and see which songs your fans are gravitating to. Maybe you have to try different markets. Maybe you're marketing it in an area of 25 to 35, but it's really actually hitting from 35 to 45. So then you should be targeting that. Maybe you're targeting a crowd on Facebook, but your fan base is on Instagram. Like, you have to pay attention to this stuff, or you need to find somebody who actually can understand this stuff and pay attention to it so that you target the right audience, you target the right fans, because it shouldn't take you 5 years to become known. It may take you a couple of years to find your sound and be really good at your craft, but once you're there, it shouldn't take you long to get out in the public eye, in my humble opinion.
No, that is really, really like some good advice. Now, just to go a little deeper into like Spotify playlists, right? Okay, so how would an artist be able to search and see, okay, these people are streaming me, but I don't only have these amount of followers? Like, how will you be able to like look that up? Is there a way for artists to actually look that up to make sure that their efforts of promotion is actually, actually working in their favor versus, or them being able to know, like, okay, they like the music, but they don't want to follow me, so they can, you know what I mean? So it's like, how can an artist start to see the comparison of their streams versus their actual followers?
Well, I think part of that is, first of all, every artist should sign up for, Spotify for Artists, so that you can get behind your profile and look at what's going on there. You can see where you're playlisted. You can actually see the statistics on what cities, what states, what countries are actually playing your music. You can see the age range, and then you can actually target that. You should be on your Spotify account, per se, adding a playlist. You should be on your Spotify account updating it. You should be on your Spotify account promoting it. Actually, you can even sell merchandise on your Spotify account. And there's different things. It's kind of like, besides being a digital platform for music, it's almost kind of got some of the elements of being social media bound. I mean, in the United States, a lot of urban artists do well on Apple. So that's another thing that you can pay attention to, and you can sign up for your profile on Apple. But the difference is that Spotify is global. So you may not be as popular on Spotify, but the reach is so much bigger that to some degree it makes sense to be on Spotify and pay attention to it, just like it does to be on Apple. I think, if you get into my book or you download the audio, any of the artists listening, I talk about this. There's lots and lots of different social media out there, and you can't be the guru on all of it. So if you know who your target audience is and you know where they're living and breathing and what kind of social media they're using, then you have to become, the perfectionist at getting on there and doing it right. And I think some of that goes also by age. I mean, really young kids were on Snapchat. TikTok started out only for young kids, but now it's got this very big older audience. And I'm talking 45 to 65. So, there's different things, and this is going to keep evolving. It's not going to stop. So you will have to try to stay at least tangentially involved with what's going on in social media and be willing to keep learning. You can't stay stuck. You can't say, TikTok's for kids, I'm not getting involved. TikTok could break somebody, and look at what it did for Old Town Road and Lil Nas. Like, you never know what's the next best thing. I think, and just overall, as a general thing to help artists who might be listening, or managers or even labels, when social media comes out with a new element, whether it's like right now, Facebook has collabs. You can sign up. It's in beta. You can sign up. But when they come out with a new feature on a social media platform and you jump on it right away, they will expose you to more people because they're actually trying to use that to promote the feature. So once everybody starts using it, then you're going into an algorithm that may not benefit you. But when you see these new features, and it's on a platform you're already embedded in, it makes sense to be one of the first ones to learn it and jump on it because they will show you to more people that way.
That is some really solid advice. And I think that a lot of artists could benefit from that because it's like so many different things that goes on in the industry, and those small things can make a huge difference in the artist's career, especially when it comes to like them just like working as an indie artist. Because people don't understand like when you're independent versus you being indie, those are like kind of like two different things. You could be independent, that means you're not signed to a label at all. That's what I view it as. Like you're literally alone, and then you can be indie, which you be on an indie label. Can you just elaborate to the next question? What is the difference between being an indie label and you're doing stuff independent as a label versus you literally doing stuff independent as a person?
Well, I would just say this, like, in my humble opinion, there's not one single artist out here that can do this alone. If you have the opportunity to go even look at the book, each chapter has checklists, and behind that, each chapter, right now, there's 5 chapters in the book. By next year, there may be more. So, and I don't call it a book, I'm sorry, call it an instruction manual, because that's basically what it is. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to register. All in the ebook, all the links are hyperlinks, so you can just click straight through. But there's a million, then maybe that's an exaggeration. There's 10 to 20 things that need to be done in each phase of you getting even, let's say, a single out. The checklists are there to remind you to do it. You could actually take the paper and print it out and check it off. If you looked at all 5 checklists in the book, you'd probably get overwhelmed. But if you do this one piece at a time, maybe it's manageable. But you're not going to be an expert in all of those areas. That's why I say you cannot do this alone. Now, you could be signed to an independent label, meaning not a major, not an Atlantic, not an RCA, not a Def Jam, right? Not an Island Republic or one of these major labels, but an independent label. Let's say like mine, eMusic Entertainment. I'm an independent label. So you could be signed to me, and still it's a small operation, or you could be an independent artist just doing this on your own, but you still will probably have to pay consultants to help you to do all these pieces, because while you may be good at marketing parts, so you know how to brand yourself and how to be on social media, you may not be good at the legal part and registering the song and doing the producer agreement and the split sheet. And there's lots of people who have lots of songs out there that don't even have a split sheet or a producer agreement. So if a label comes to sign you and you don't have any of that paperwork done, you're probably going to pay the price for that, meaning you're going to lose out on money that you would have gotten had you done that up front, because now once people know a label's involved in you, they're going to be telling you, oh, no, I wrote 75% of that song, not 25% of the song. And you didn't do a split sheet up front, which everybody, I don't care what kind of background you have, should be able to, at the minimum, do that. Most people don't even do that. So I say that to say there's a lot of moving parts to this, and you can't be an expert in all of them. So even if you're completely independent, you're definitely going to need some outside help. If you have an independent label, they may have some components of that already in place for you, which is helpful. And, you know, obviously, or maybe the goal is to get you from there to a major label so that more of the pieces are in place, including the big bag. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And this is like so helpful. I could tell, like, I know for a fact that a lot of the artists, I stay around the independent scene, and I know for a fact a lot of artists that I know personally can benefit from this information because there's certain questions that they don't have that, that you just answer, which is going to make it so much easier for them and help them when it comes to the business of things. Now, my other question, speaking of which, because most of the artists that I hang out with, they're mid-market, right? So they're manageable, things of that nature. What would you say is a reasonable salary for a manager if they have to do like a contract with a manager specifically? Would you say they should take 20% and the artist get 80% of each booking? Like, what would you think is the most reasonable for a manager to charge an artist for their service?
I would say at the top end, somebody with experience who's good, 20%, and then work your way backwards, 15 or 10. It depends on what they can do and who they are and how much experience they have and who they have relationships with. But I would never over 20%.
I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people that their mouths probably just dropped right now. It's mid-market and signed a bad contract, but at least this is being put out now. So now they, it's going to help other people prevent that from happening to them, because that's like one of the biggest questions that I know, like amongst my like indie artist friends and stuff that they have. It's like, how much did I get this manager versus, you know what I mean? And so I just in general, I want to ask that question. Now, of course, you have your book out and everything else. I want to know more about your label and your artists that's signed to the label, and what do you guys have coming forward and within the next year? I know that everything's like shut down because of this Corona stuff, but just music-wise, like what is the label preparing, and what artists are signed with your label?
Okay, so right now, currently, my label is called eMusic Entertainment. You can find me everywhere under that. eMusic, ENT, or eMusic Entertainment on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. Right now, I'm going to just throw in there that in September, I am doing an online course for indie artists, indie labels, and indie managers. Indie artists, I'm only charging $99. And it's a deep dive into everything that's in the book. And also I bring on special guests. I have bonus videos inside of the course. It's a lot of value. And, the reason I'm doing it so inexpensively right now is because of COVID. If you're a label, you have to pay more. And I'm thinking about working out something where I can even take an independent label with their artists and charge the artist a nominal amount. But that's still... I'm working that out. And that I'm going to run in September online. Right now, so I just say that it's emusicentertainment.net for the book, and the course, and it's emusicentertainment.com for the label. I have to update my website. I'm actually in negotiations with somebody right now because, like I said, you can't do everything yourself. To get somebody to work on my label, on the website, the YouTube, and all that stuff for me, the graphics, because even though I can do a lot of it out of necessity, it takes me way too much time, and it's not the kind of time that I want to spend doing that. But currently, I have an R&B singer, Tanisha Eben. She signed to me. She just put out a song a couple of weeks ago. We've probably got about, we put it out maybe 2 weeks ago. We probably have about 30,000 streams on it, and a lot of different blogs are picking it up. We did put out a lyric video. We're talking about doing a music video, but we're dropping another song in another 6 weeks. So we'll see if we get to it. COVID does have us a little tied up. I also have a hip-hop artist on there, MAR Light Up. I just started working with another singer-songwriter out of California. Her name is Kayla. The song that we're working on isn't done yet, so that's up and coming. I'm putting out another song in 2 weeks on another R&B singer. He's out of Kentucky. His name is Delmar James. And I'm also working with a hip-hop duo called Jay Manza. They've been around a long time. I've been blessed to get involved with that project. And they have like probably 100,000 to 1 million streams on their songs. And we just actually, I got them booked for a concert, a virtual concert that's on Road Nation that they'll be performing in September to approximately 100,000 people virtually. So I'm working on that project, and I actually have 2 more in the pipeline, but they're still in the pipeline, so I don't want to talk about that yet. And they're both going to be amazing also.
Well, that is fantastic. You have such a broad spectrum in a book of everything, and I can't wait to hear all of the music. Of course, Tanisha, I just actually interviewed her, and I'm going to be putting that interview out soon. I've been having technical issues, but it's going to come out. But I am looking forward to interviewing all the acts that you have, and I have such a great respect for you and the work that you do for the artists as an attorney and also running a label. I know it's so busy, but I really appreciate you just sitting down, taking the time, and just giving out this information. And my recommendation to all the artists right now, take advantage of this video. Take advantage of this and make sure you get her book and buy it. Invest in yourself because, it will help you in the long run. And she is a really, really amazing attorney. She's an amazing record label owner, and that book is definitely the business. So if you want to learn about the music business, purchase her book today.
And I just want to say it's about 90 pages. It's less than $10. It's $9.99, so you can't go wrong. But the reality is it's an easy read. You can read the whole thing in one day. And if you don't want to read it, I did an audio track for it, so you can actually listen to the audio track. So no excuses. It will definitely help you. I literally have not had one single person read that book and not tell me how great it was. And it's easy. I didn't write it like an attorney, even though I am, because I wanted it to be interesting. So it's actually a roadmap, how to get your music business off the ground.
Oh, yes. So like you said, check out the book right now. Like I said, you go on our website, okay, to download it. And like I said, it's for the record, E-Music Entertainment for the Record by Debbie Eagle. And do you all have a social media for people to follow the label in general? Do you have those handles, social media handles?
Instagram, E-Music Entertainment, ENT. TikTok, my new favorite thing. Can I just say something?
Yes.
I love TikTok. Like, I found this song, right? I want to shout out the guy's name, H.D. Bin Dope, right? I don't know this guy from Adam. He's a hip-hop artist. And I found his song, and it was called For the Record. And I literally imitated run around with my book. I had so much fun. I did it with kids in my neighborhood. And now I'm getting ready to do, like, this other one, like, you catch me in my kitchen listening to this stuff and trying to imitate these dances, and I'm laughing out loud. I love TikTok.
Yes.
But you can catch me on all social media at eMusic, ENT. And right now, because I'm getting ready to do my course in September, which I invite everybody to sign up for. After 1 week, if you don't like it, you don't like me, you don't like the way it's going, you can get your money back. No questions asked. It's only $99, so it's not anybody's heartache. But I'm putting stuff out on Instagram and TikTok about the music industry. 1-minute vignettes. So please follow my Instagram or TikTok. You'll have kind of a concept about how I am and how I speak and the kind of information that I'm going over in the course. It'll probably either lead you to say, wow, I really like this chick, or nope, that ain't for me. One or the other.
Yeah. And so I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here and talking to the audience. And we're going to make sure we stay in touch. If you got any more books, of course, please come back to the show. And for all the viewers out there that's listening, if you haven't already, make sure you guys follow the podcast, of course, is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a whole bunch of other places. So if you can, make sure you download it and follow us everywhere. Thank you so much, Debbie, for coming on the show today.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And everybody have a great day.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
All right. Bye-bye.
DJ.